Welcome to the Anonymous Andrew podcast. Life and the choices we make. The choices other people make. Join me in Season 1 as we cover topics such as gaslighting, red flags, denial, self-love, addiction, mental illness, and so much more. How do these traits play a role in relationships? How do we avoid them? How do we face them? How do we make better choices to be better humans and better partners in our relationships? Now, on to the show. Welcome, Anonymous Andrew, back here with you. Not sure what episode this is. Another impromptu audio blog or journal. Yesterday was my birthday, and I got the usual a dozen or two text messages and Facebook messages from family and friends and you know, my close network, and I thank everybody for that. But there was one person in particular that every year she wishes me happy birthday. This is an ex-girlfriend of mine. As usual, I will keep her name anonymous, and details about her I'm not even going to tell you when she was and etc. But she makes that birthday special for me every single year. And while we don't necessarily talk throughout the year, there's a special connection that we have. She makes me feel, especially yesterday, it was kind of a tough birthday. Smack in the middle of the week. You know, I'm in the middle of a post-breakup, and I'm just still struggling to find my footing. I want to read you something that she sent me, and I hope she doesn't mind me reading this, but of course nobody knows who she is. I've had dozens of ex-girlfriends, so even if you know me, you wouldn't figure it out. I said to her, she asked me how my day was going, and I said, you know, it's just another work day. I'm working on self-love, and which I am, because this week the podcast, there's going to be 1 or 2 episodes. We had one last weekend on self-love. I have another life coach coming on this weekend. Self-love and hurt people hurt people. Anyway, so I just said to her, I'm working on self-love. And she wrote the following. Well, then, let me give you some positive thoughts about yourself that I see. You truly were one of the most loving boyfriends I ever had. The way you looked at me made me feel like the only woman on earth. You were also extremely caring. I will never forget how you used to bring me coffee in the morning before I woke up. Nobody's ever done that before and still hasn't. You were always so good with your children growing up. You were a great dad, and you always put them first and before anybody else. Your heart was always in the right place. That I can truly say. She goes on to say down a little bit further. By the way, she sends me numerous text messages and happy birthday memes throughout the day. She's quite funny, and it's very it touches my heart. She goes on to say, you were my first love. You will always be my first love. So many beautiful memories. I'm going to leave out some of the parts that I think should be left out. Um, I allowed myself to remember the good times that we did together and the happiness that you brought me and the smile that you put on my face. So many things about you I remember that are good. I remember being in Pennsylvania at your sister's place and looking up at the stars as we took a long walk. We held hands and it was such a beautiful clear night. I'll never forget that or the amount of stars I saw. There was another time when you walked into my house and I can distinctly remember even what I was wearing. You looked at me and looked into my eyes. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in anyone. Times that I remember is what I hold on to. And she gives me a little bit of advice because I think she knows that I just went through this breakup. The one thing that you can do for yourself is not hold on to grudges because that's what brings you down. I know it's been many years ago, and that's easier for me to do that. It's also something I have done for myself. To my loving ex, I thank you for those words. They were the most beautiful, touching, brought tears to my eyes. And I told her that. I been talking this past couple of episodes about how I'm struggling to love myself. And because this last relationship, this woman broke me down and made me feel worthless. And I allowed that. I'm not pointing fingers at her. I allowed her to. I gave her the control. And you know, David Price, the life coach that I interviewed a few days ago, we talked about that. But it's really so this self-love and this desire to be alive again and feel alive and feel that you are worth something. It was so beautiful to hear somebody from my past, while that relationship did not work out, we stayed in touch, and it has been quite a few years. And just every year on my birthday, she makes it a special day. I can even say that. Well, let's not go there. I was going to compare, but no. You know, here it is. It's a Thursday night, and once again, I just got back from a support meeting, my 12-step meeting, and I'm just sitting on my couch watching Netflix. You know, I call social media the devil incarnate, and I believe Netflix is the same. Netflix is like the algorithms they do on Facebook and Instagram and the dating apps, how they suck you in and you get those hits of dopamine as you scroll or swipe left or swipe right. And they study people and they know what attracts you to your cell phone and how to keep you engaged. And I think Netflix does the same thing. You open up your Netflix, you open it up, and there's boom, brand new show, brand new series. And even though you have, I don't know about you, but I must have 30 shows on my list because every time something pops up, I go, "Oh, that looks good. Let me put it on my list." I haven't watched one of them yet. So, um, anyway, I'm sitting on my couch, just literally waiting and passing the time to go to bed. It's I think 9:30, and it's this is the time I usually crawl into bed and meditate and take my melatonin and drift off. But I couldn't help but thinking of this beautiful, beautiful text message that I got yesterday. Um, I used to call her Rainbow Smile because her smile reminded me of a rainbow. So, Rainbow Smile, if you're listening to this, thank you. Um, you just, I hope you understand how much you made my day yesterday. And I needed that because I am struggling with self worth right now. And yeah, folks, I'm going to tell you, I broke down and I'm back on the dating apps. It's been 6 months. It's been 6 months. I've grieved. I've podcasted. I'm in therapy, but I'm single. The warm weather. It was 82 degrees today here in where I live, and even though it's going to be 60, I think, in 2 days and 58 the next day, the warm weather is coming. And for me, that means beach. I live 6 blocks from the beach. And while I spent the last 3 summers with my ex-girlfriend, it's going to be a different summer this year because I don't know what waits for me around the corner. I may end up spending weekends at the beach alone with a book or an audio book or meditating or just looking out over to the ocean and talking to my higher power. I don't know. I have no idea what I'll be doing in 2 months. It would be nice to have someone to be sitting next to me, um, enjoying an ice cream or a crab sandwich, um, laughing, listening to music, uh, all the things that we do at the beach. I can only hope that my higher power has plans for me. If not, it's okay. It's okay. I will find a way to get through this summer. If David Price talked about last weekend the law of attraction, and if we put negative feelings out into universe, you're going to get back negative results. I really want to thank David for coming on. David, you shifted my thinking, and like he said, it does not happen overnight. It takes time. But I have shifted my thinking. I'm trying to send the universe, in terms of the law of attraction. I'm trying to send positive vibes out to the universe, and hopefully I'll get some positive vibes back. But I know it's, I don't lay down tonight and put out positive vibes, and tomorrow I'm going to wake up and there's going to be a like on my dating app or meet somebody at the supermarket, whatever. I gotta tell you, I'm split. Half of me has been single now for the longest time in my adult life, and I'm starting to slowly enjoy it. It's now I understand when some single people say, I don't want to be in a relationship because I don't want to have to deal with the commitments and the things that go along with relationships, that you have to be someplace at a certain time, and if you don't answer text or whatever. But along with that comes the other side of the coin, is the loneliness and the it's such a very strange conundrum. Part of me really enjoys sitting home. I have my podcast equipment. I have my tarot cards. I make candles. I listen to books. I meditate. I do yoga. I mean, I keep myself busy. I cook. I had a nice dinner tonight. Yesterday was my birthday. I made myself a nice dinner. But there are times when you want to share that with somebody. You want to have somebody next to you, and you can cook together, and you can enjoy that meal together, and you can laugh at whether something's on TV, or laugh at whatever the conversation that you're having. Of course, then there's the physical intimacy, or just the touch, or the cuddle, or the hugs, or the kissing, and so I have Italian descent in me, and that's the Italians are known for their romance. I guess it's just a stigma, but a good stigma, but it's in my genes to be a lover, and to share my life, and that's how it's been my entire life. But that's why this podcast exists, is because I've been doing this over and over and over again, and I don't get it right. I don't have a problem meeting women and getting into relationships. My problem is staying in relationships. I'm either choosing the wrong women. Well, that's a very long story. As some of you know, I'm sober 8 years. So prior to the 8 of my sobriety, there was my drunken life, and what woman would tolerate that? So that's actually how my divorce ended, my marriage ended. But in my sobriety, I've had 3 relationships so far, and all 3 didn't work out, and for all different reasons. None of them ended the same way. They all had a different ending. The last one, although you know what, I actually, they had different endings, but they were the same. We both, in all 3 relationships, the 2 of us walked away from each other. So it was a mutual breakup in all 3 relationships. It was initiated by one of us. I remember saying to the girlfriend before last that I didn't want to be in that relationship because she was doing A, B, and C. And she agreed. She said, yeah, you're right. So we walked away from each other. And the same thing in the last. And then the very first relationship I had in sobriety lasted a whole year. We never said I love you to each other in a whole year. And at the end of that year, she came to me and said, I'm going to walk away. And I said, okay, have a nice life. So I just keep thinking of what David said about wanting to attract a beautiful, healthy, long-lasting, enjoyable, fulfilling, romantic relationship. And while that takes, some people say if you don't look for it, it comes your way. But the way David explained it, and the way I have understood it from the laws of attraction, is that you need to put out there that what you want and what you are uh, striving for, and it will come to you. So I'm working on that. I do have an interview this Saturday morning with another life coach. We'll see how that goes. I can't wait to hear what she has to say. All right. As I'm sitting here, the melatonin's kicking in, so I'm gonna say goodnight. Anonymous Andrew here, guys. Thank you. I'm getting some really wonderful feedback. I'm starting to get listeners. I got over 500 downloads, and I think it's even more than that. And David's episode got over 200 or 300 views on Instagram. So we're slowly getting there, folks. And I'm getting messages on Facebook, and I'm getting messages on Instagram from various people. So the only thing I ask, and every podcaster does ask this, is if you enjoy the show, please, and your profile that you're on, whether it's Apple, Spotify, whatever platform you're on, if they allow you to review the show or give it ratings like 1 to 5 stars, and if you are enjoying this, please give me the rating you think I deserve. You know, some podcasters will say, please give me 5 stars. I would like to say give me 5 stars, but I can't ask you to do that if it's not what you feel. So, but any review is better than no review, because the algorithm sees the reviews and pushes the podcast up into the platform world. So please give me a review and post it, and then spread the word. Tell your friends, if anybody that you think might get something out of this. Remember, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this to show the world and the people who struggle with being stuck in relationships that are not healthy, and they just don't know how to get out, and your self-worth is at an all-time low. I am here to help you dig yourself out of that. And okay, I'm starting to nod off here. Anonymous Andrew saying, if it feels good, do it. But please choose wisely. Good night, folks.